Hey, what's up, guys? Max here, and today we're going to be talking about Juggernaut.
Juggernaut!
New kit, and what's possibly going to make this guy an option for you to rank up if you want to. I think ultimately, if you want to have a little fun with this guy that you've never really ranked up or you chose to kind of play with, I think this buff is going to make him fun. I don't think it's going to make it like a must-need OP update to him, but I think it's an actual fun update. And I think if Kabam goes this direction on the buffs, I said it before, I was a little disappointed on the buffs, but if they go this direction and just making these champions fun, and add a little strength and a little power or something unique about it, I think this is a good direction. So, in paper, kind of okay and happy with what I saw at least, and I'll share here with you. So let's bring it on screen. So we're gonna be looking at here Juggernaut's mechanics. So it's an unstoppable force. Stack your unstoppables for more attack and increased power rate. Stay aggressive and always moving. Build your max unstoppables and unleash massive special attacks. So that is one thing that it's gonna make him unique. Again, you can stack unstoppables. He can go unblockable, and it's gonna be a power gain situation. Imagine that with Mystic Dispersion. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be fun to fight this guy again. Maybe becomes a challenging situation as a defender. Maybe that's the direction you want to go in. Maybe now he deserves a level up, a rank up as well. So let's take a look at what those are, right? His strength is going to be unstoppable. So Juggernaut nearly always has this unstoppable buff up. Use him whenever you may need it. Buff stacking. So this is what I was referring to. Unstoppable each count as a buff. Special 1 gives Energize and Special 2 gives a Fury. We'll be taking a look at that Special 2 because that's a very strong Fury. So Juggernaut can easily stack buffs. Now, one of his weaknesses is non-damaging debuffs. That is huge. That's actually what cripples him immediately from the start, just as soon as he gets one. Juggernaut gains tons of power through his Gem of Sidorak. Applying non-damaging debuffs. Staggers. Juggernaut relies on buffs. A stagger is an excellent way to take him down. Abilities. So let's take a look at his abilities. So Crimson Gem of Sidorak. So this is a very powerful being, and he gets a little taste of his power, just a little. And so with that taste of his power, I wonder if we're ever going to get Sidorak, and now that they introduced that name into the game. So, well, okay, let's cover the bullet points anyway, so don't get sidetracked here. So Juggernaut starts the fight with the Crimson Gem, right? Let's just call it the gem. This gem is disabled if Juggernaut suffers a non-damaging debuff. So Void is going to be ideally just what pops in my head, a good option here, or is knocked down. So you got to maybe possibly parry and drop them if you want to play it safe. And then be careful with those parries, though. We'll see why. While the gem is disabled, Juggernaut suffers a 50% weakness passive. Okay, and then when fighting him, by the way, and this is disabled, he cannot get it back. But he needs to launch a special attack to gain it back. So when you're using him offensively, if there's a weakness applied to you or you get dropped, if you get dropped, then you'll lose it, but just launch a special and you get it back. I think it's easier to fight with and not lose it, I would assume, or it's going to be, but it's going to be easier to have it and remove it with the right incorrect champion going up against them. While the Crimson Gem is active, though, Juggernaut is empowered and gains the following. This is where it's huge, right? He gains 1,173 attack rating. He gains a plus 25 damage reduction, which is nice. Again, you're not going to take too much damage. Hopefully, immunity to reverse controls. That is huge. So there's only a few champions out there that are currently immune to reverse controls, and he is now being added to the list as long as he's got the gem active. And again, don't forget, if it falls off, you can activate it again by a special 1. So here's some dev notes. It says the gem is Juggernaut's biggest level of power. You need to keep this up at all times in order to get the most power out of him, or it takes it off as soon as possible when fighting against him. Actually, that's exactly what we were just saying. So the buffs, the unstoppable buffs, have a stack of 10. So you can stack 10 of them. Juggernaut can only activate his unstoppable buffs in the gem while the gem is active, right? Well, that Sidorak gem is active. Juggernaut gains 1 unstoppable buff. This is where it gets really tricky, and I think it's going to be maybe possibly hard to use this guy, but we'll take a look when this goes live. A Juggernaut gains 1 unstoppable buff each time he dashes or lands a hit, but loses 1 unstoppable buff each time he is hit, enters a block, or blocks an attack. So when using them, depending on how you play the game and your play style, this may be causing you to lose buffs and just relearning how to play this champion all over again. Reconfiguring your play style might be appropriate when using this champion. Just keep that in mind, right? Unstoppable buffs increase by 1 every 1.25 seconds. The timers reset each time an unstoppable buff is added or removed, or when Juggernaut dodges backwards. So keep that dodge back. I guess careful because it's gonna reset. I guess you gotta sit idle maybe for a second or two, which is kind of dangerous, but if you're fighting against him, you might not be dashing at him, or I don't know. You gotta stay active. I feel this fight when fighting him, you gotta be active and gotta figure out the AI's pattern when coming to fight this guy. That's just my thinking right now. Each unstoppable buff provides the following. So this is cool. Remember, these are a stack of 10. You get 234 attack rating, increased power by 2.50%. Maybe pair it with Mystic Dispersion might be better. Lower the opponent's chance to trigger stun debuffs. This is huge, by 20%. So keep in mind, you got the stack of 10. So if he ends up with a bunch of unstoppables and you're fighting him, you might not be able to stun this guy. If this ability prevents a stun debuff from triggering, Juggernaut does lose 7 unstoppable buffs. So it reminds me of like Iceman when you just trigger a parry and it just kind of like, he's not parried, right? Stack as many unstoppable buffs as you can and get some massive damage bonuses. So that's the attack rating. Again, you can stack that up to 10 times. So one of the cool things here says maximum momentum. While Juggernaut has 10 unstoppable buffs, this is the stack, right? This is the limit that he can gain. He gains unblockable passive, making his next block attack unblockable at the cost of 10 unstoppable buffs. So you get 1 unblockable once you have the 10 unstoppables and they go away. So really good feature. I mean, if you're fighting against him, you'll get hit once, but then don't worry about it. You won't be getting hit. Hopefully, maybe you might take a 5-hit combo. I don't know. After landing a maximum momentum unblockable attack, Juggernaut is unable to gain unstoppable buffs for 7 seconds. So he goes on a cooldown and places a wither debuff on the opponent, reducing their power rate by 50% for 10 seconds. So careful on that too. You might not be able to get yourself in a power control situation or push them back, because you're going to be, for 10 seconds, your power is not going to increase as much. His heavy attacks though, this is kind of nice. His heavy attacks has a 100% chance to stagger the opponent for 8 seconds. Now, this staggered actually gets multiplied with an additional one if his gem is active. So if Crimson Gem by Sidorak is active, inflicts an additional stagger. So he gets 2. Now, it should be for 8 seconds both, I believe. So the next time a staggered opponent triggers a buff and all other buffs trigger at the same time will immediately nullify. So his special attacks, this is what I was referring to. This is how you activate his gem from Sidorak if it was disabled, whether you're doing 1, 2, or 3. On the special one, he gains an energized buff for 10 seconds, granting him 25% increased combat power rate. This is where the increased power is actually beneficial. Imagine just having a special one, matching it with some Mystic Dispersion, matching it with an increased power to another special one, and then you're just kind of stuck in some random loop of Doctor Strange heal rotation against this guy, maybe. But the special 2, each hit deals a burst of 1,173 physical damage, while at maximum momentum, 100% chance to gain a fury though. And then keep in mind, this is going to be a little bit difficult. While at maximum momentum means you need 10 unstoppable buffs and an unblockable hit. So I guess you go unblockable special 2. Is that what I'm thinking? 100% chance to gain a fury. Now this fury is, I was mentioned, it's huge. 4,692%. 92 attack rating for 10 seconds. So maybe unblockable special 2, and I wonder if these animations are going to stay the same. So that special 2 is like really bouncy. So it pushes you back all the way to the end of the screen. So I'm interested to test that out and see how easy it is, again, to stack those unblockables buffs and then have up to 10 to activate that special 2 for big damage. That's going to be a big dick. You can keep in mind, you can pair this with a couple of other things in game that, and just trigger your mind, make it wonder, that brain of yours in mind, what you can do with that special 2. The special 3 attack, when activated, it says the Crimson Gem cannot be removed for 20 seconds while at maximum momentum, inflicts a stun debuff on the opponent for 4 seconds. Okay, so I don't think that's that important. Maybe 4 seconds is quite long, actually, but that's not too bad. That's not too bad, right? So his signature ability compared to his signature ability now, it's actually kind of nice. It says the weakness passive from the Crimson Gem is reduced to 5% and becomes a debuff instead. All attacks have 3% chance per unblockable buff to nullify the buffs from the opponent. It's different than what he has because he's always going to be basically unstoppable. So it used to be a timer on his unstoppable depending on his awaken ability or his levels and his signature ability. His synergy bonuses, not much to talk about besides the last one. It says lives on Colossus with a Juggernaut Unstoppable Colossus. Juggernaut starts the fight with 3 unstoppable buffs actives. It doesn't say anything about stacking this, so maybe you can bring a Juggernaut and Unstoppable Colossus, and I don't see anything about maybe not stacking this, but we'll test that out. Maybe we can start with 6, 7, 8, 9, and then just easily get that 10th. So then you can really have fun with this guy. But that's not an ideal team or team you want to bring, when it comes to it. So Mystic Dispersion, more specials, and somewhat consistent Stagger and Nullify is amazing for Juggernaut's kit. So overall, guys, what do you think of Juggernaut? I think it sounds by the description that his special 2 is strong. He's constantly unstoppable. I don't know about those 10 stacks and making him, if I can recall the name here, it's maximum momentum. If that is something kind of crazy about it, what I would have loved to see? I would have loved to see a synergy with Deadpool, and possibly giving them some healing. That would be nice, especially since you, for those that run suicides and are going to be constantly launching specials. That would have been nice to see. I mean, maybe that's where it gets too OP because you're going to be like, nah, dude, we're going to be using this guy all the time. So. Overall, though, what are your thoughts on it? I think I like what I read. When it comes to actually playing it, it's 2 different worlds. Keep that in mind. When you actually have the champion in your hands and how it feels. Don't go out and shoot it down immediately, because I feel like being able to stack this unblockable buffs is going to be a different type of just relearning your style of playing. And again, it's not meant to be a OP I feel like a buff. It's just meant to be like, for me at least, a fun buff. I mean, you're gonna get 2 cool, I feel like a few handful of things that really are important out of this buff is the reverse controls. It's gonna be that he starts that he can, with his heavy, he can actually apply the staggered for up to 8 seconds, and if you have the gem active, that's 2 of them, so it might be a good opponent against cosmic champions. So keep those 2 features in mind. His special 2 attack damage with the fury increase, it's going to be really nice. So I feel like there's a handful of things that I would appreciate from this guy. Will he be a tough defender to fight in the battlegrounds? That is going to be soon to be discovered. I mean, would you add him to your deck because he's now an option? Is he an option to be played offensively? Is he better? Does he offer something that maybe another Mystic might not offer, or makes him better? I think those are the questions you may want to ask yourself as you rank up this champion. But for now, guys, these are some thoughts, maybe something to get you thinking. I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care. Peace.